Whether it's simply bad luck or a very bad choice made on their part, curses have been known to cost people dearly. But while some are destined to never find love or financial success, others have a far worse experience and ultimately pay the ultimate price. Here are 10 cursed people who met terrible fates. Number 10 is the Bjrktar Runestone. Created in the 6th century, one of the world's tallest runestones, the Bjrktar Runestone, stands in Blekinge, Sweden, and has a curse attached to it, one that's so powerful, a warning was actually inscribed on it in order to save lives. The message, which was translated from Proto-Norse language, says, "I, master of the runes, conceal here runes of power. Incessantly plagued by maleficence, doomed to insidious death is he who breaks this monument." Basically, it says anyone who breaks it will pay with their life. An unidentified man once actually tried to remove the runestone, heating it up with fire before using cold water to crack it. But as he built the fire, a sudden gust of wind came out of nowhere and sent the flames to the man's clothing, where he swiftly burned to death. Number 9 is the Kennedy Curse. Apparently, just being a member of a particular family can lead you to being cursed. Such was the case with one of America's most famous families, the Kennedys. There have been so many tragedies within the Kennedy family that it's hard not to think that they were cursed. John F. Kennedy's assassination is surrounded by some of the most famous conspiracy theories on the planet, but before he died in 1963, his brother Joseph Jr. and sister Kathleen were both killed in separate plane crashes, which took place 4 years apart. In 1968, his younger brother Robert was assassinated, and his sons died of a drug overdose and a skiing accident. Finally, JFK Jr., his wife and sister-in-law all died in yet another plane crash in 1999. Ted Kennedy once said in a public testimony that the curse did hang over the Kennedys, and it turns out he was right. Number 8 is the 27 Club. It turns out being famous and a certain age could mean that you're cursed. For an unsettling example, simply look at the 27 Club, a group of popular musicians, actors, and other artists who all had one thing in common: their lives ended when they were just 27 years old. This awful curse has taken a number of talented individuals from this world. Between 1969 and 1971, the world lost Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and Brian Jones, the founder and original leader of the Rolling Stones, all of whom were 27. Of course, the curse didn't end there, with Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, and actor Anton Yelchin from the rebooted Star Trek films all passing on, all at the age of 27. Now, some claim that the club is pure fiction and that all of these deaths are simply a coincidence. However, 27 remains a feared age among artists. Number 7 is Gene Gordon. After suffering a broken neck due to a car accident, General George S. Patton Jr. died on December 21, 1945. Regarded as one of the most successful field commanders of any war involving the United States, Patton left behind a heroic legacy, but also one of infidelity. Soon after he was buried, his wife Beatrice summoned her half-sister's daughter, Jean Gordon, to her hotel room in Boston, Massachusetts. Almost immediately upon arriving, Beatrice pointed at Gordon and declared, "May the great worm gnaw your vitals, and may your bones rot joint by little joint." This was a curse the widow had learned in Hawaii, and she cast it because of an affair Gordon had with her late husband. A few days later, Jean Gordon was found dead in a friend's apartment, having taken her own life with no explanation as to why. Number 6 is Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. In late July of 2005, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon went on record as saying, "I am never frightened about this sort of thing, not in the past and not now." He was referring to a threat to his life that, like many others, he didn't really feel was genuine. That threat was an ancient Jewish death curse that had been called forth by a group of around 20 extremists. On July 22, 2005, after it was established that actually assassinating Sharon was nearly impossible due to his security, Rabbi Yosef Dayan stood in a cemetery and presided over a Palsa Denura, a ceremony in which God, or the angel of destruction, is urged to strike down the target. Just 5 months later, Ariel Sharon suffered a stroke, which left him in a permanent vegetative state until he passed away on January 11, 2014, giving the radicals exactly what they wanted. Number 5 is the Guinness family. The incredible famous family behind the beer that redefined St. Patrick's Day is also one that many believe is plagued by a deadly curse, and the facts seem to back up that idea. Arthur Guinness established the Guinness Brewery in 1759, the year the curse started taking hold. Of the 21 children Arthur fathered, 10 passed away during the rise of the company. Then, following his death on January 23, 1803, his descendants began experiencing hardships, including poverty, alcoholism, and mental illness. Several of them took their own lives, while others died due to being addicted to drugs or alcohol. And the most recent victim of the curse was Robert Hesketh, who married into the Guinness family and died due to a heart attack in 2005. It seems the more successful the company is, the more tragedy the family befalls. Number 4 is John Richardson, the Omen. Released on June 6, 1976, or 666 as it was marketed, The Omen is a horror film that was supernatural both on and off screen. It's said that Satan himself cursed that movie, a notion that was backed up through all the bizarre and terrifying events surrounding it. Multiple planes carrying crew members were struck by lightning. Actor Gregory Peck's son committed suicide just prior to filming, and the hotel that one producer was staying at was bombed by the IRA. Special effects designer John Richardson, who created the famous scene in which the character is beheaded, was involved in a car accident which wound up decapitating his assistant Liz Moore. Crawling from the wreck, Richardson was greeted by a sign pointing to Omen, which was 66.6 kilometers away. Number 3 is the 5th Earl of Carnarvon. On November 26, 1922, King Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered after more than 3,000 years, unleashing a curse on all who took part in disturbing it. The first person to meet their maker to it was a man who funded the excavation, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, George Herbert. On March 19, 1923, Lord Carnarvon suffered a bite from a mosquito, which he soon after tore open with a razor while shaving. This resulted in the Earl contracting blood poisoning, which claimed his life just over 2 weeks later on April 5th. A number of people came forward claiming that they'd predicted Carnarvon's death and that it was imminent, including Arthur Weigall, who, after seeing the Earl enter the tomb laughing and joking, said that he would die in 6 weeks, which was exactly spot on. Upon Carnarvon's death, it was said that every light in his house went out. Number 2 is Otzzi. On September 19, 1991, a pair of German tourists were hiking in the Alps along the Austrian-Italian border when they discovered a frozen body in the ice. Named after the Otzzi section of the Alps where it was found, Otzzi, or the Iceman, lived around the year 3300 BCE, making him the oldest known natural human mummy in Europe. Like many ancient mummies found before it, this specimen wasn't happy with being disturbed and carries with it a deadly curse. 7 people have lost their lives to Otzi's curse, 4 of them in violent accidents. In 2004, one of the men who discovered the remains, Helmut Simon, fell to his death when a sudden blizzard struck him while he was hiking near the very place that he found Otzzi. Perhaps he should have just left the mummy alone. And number 1 is the Russian royal family. During the early morning of December 30th, 1916, Russian mystic and healer of the monarchy Grigory Rasputin was assassinated by people loyal to the royal family. It turned out that ending Rasputin's life was rather difficult, and it's said that after he showed no signs of being affected by the consumption of poison-laced cakes and wines, he was shot 3 times, once at close range in the forehead and sliced open. His body was then tossed off of a bridge into the Malaya Nevka River to drown should he return to life once more. However, while all of this was happening to him, Rasputin was said to have cursed the Romanovs, proclaiming that the royal family would all be dead within a year. His curses apparently held some weight, as the entire family was executed less than a year after Rasputin's curse was cast.